even if I were to trick myself into believing that this phrase means something different in this instance and that it actually really does mean like equals in all things, why then in the Ten Commandments are women lumped in with asses and cattle with things
Right.
that you shouldn't be covetous of? Why throughout the rest of the text are they treated so much like an inferior if they're supposed to be equals in this one little verse?
And even God treats them like property. So remember when David takes the throne, Saul had wives, and you might think that they just lived out their wife lives in widowhood after Saul's death. That's not what happened. In
Yeah.
2 Samuel 12, when Nathan is rebuking David for what he did with Bathsheba, he literally says that he gave Saul's wives to David and would have gave him even more, which means even God treats women like their property. That's why in verse 11 of the same chapter, as punishment for David, God decides that he's going to raise up Absalom from within his own household to go and take 10 of David's concubines and sexually assault them on top of the palace, which is another thing God allows for concubines. And concubines are really just one step above like a glorified sex slave.
The Bible expert Justin here is using one of his favorite rhetorical devices. Last time we learned that women are one step above cattle. This time we learned that concubines are one step above glorified sex slaves. It seems there's a kind of hierarchy here. Sex slaves at level 1, glorified sex slaves at level 2, and a step above that at level 3 we have concubines. We're meant to understand this as an offense to the dignity of women. I would concur, and let's give Justin credit. He has preempted a common argument that Bible apologists often offer, that the Bible is often just describing history, and not saying that God endorses the events of that history. In this case, yes, God gave Saul's wives to David. Then God gave David's concubines to Absalom. David's punishment is meant to be horrifying. The women do undergo abuse and suffering. Full stop. My question is simple. Why do Forrest and Justin care about those women? They are evolutionists and hold that humans are animals. Why do we have to live differently from mountain sheep, mule deer, or coyotes? In those species, we see the dominant male fights for and earns a harem of females. When that male is defeated by another, the new leader acquires the concubines of the old leader. I'm sure our evolutionist friends place a high value on the rights of women to have agency and the ability to freely give or withhold consent. But why? The great apes, our cousins, do not abide by those values, and their DNA is still propagating efficiently. In fact, their mistreatment of the females might be seen as an evolutionary optimization. But in the biblical narrative, when humans are degraded to the level of animals, it is always depicted as either a punishment from God, as in this case involving David's concubines, or it is a man-made outrage that quickly merits the judgment of God. The bottom line here is that when King David treated Bathsheba as property to be acquired and used for his own pleasure, God gave Nathan the prophet a powerful analogy, portraying Bathsheba as a butchered pet lamb. Even though Bathsheba was not killed in her ordeal, God uses the language of death to describe the violation against her. David awakened the anger of a God who understands human dignity.
But exactly why they cannibalize the dead chimp is not fully understood. It may simply be a chance for some extra protein